You know you're in trouble when a judge basically says, "Your explanation makes absolutely no sense, and I'm trying really hard to understand it." And that's exactly what happened when Commissioner Cici Kampepe Madlanga, well known for not letting weak logic slide, put TMPD Director Shepo Malatji under serious pressure. This wasn't just another boring hearing. This was one of those moments where logic, accountability, and public money all collided in real time. And let me tell you, it got uncomfortable fast. But before we break it down, let's listen to what they had to say. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Now let's get back to the video.
I do not understand what the relevance of the SOP steps or content is when you are talking about cancellation. Surely you understand me. Do you understand me?
I hope I understand you. And
so why was that relevant when you refused to cancel? Why was the SOP of relevance?
The SOP will remain relevant, Commissioner. 4. This SOP is an instruction.
To do what? To do what?
It's an instruction.
Instruction on what?
It's an instruction to the departments.
Towards deployment.
Towards deployment.
And once you deploy, you are done with SOP, aren't you?
Once
you've deployed, you are done with SOP, correct?
Correct.
Yes. Why does it become relevant now beyond that point?
It became relevant, Commissioner, because of the actual deployment that were carried out without observing or taking this SOP into consideration. I mean, we are here today, Commissioner, because of irregular deployment.
Would the relevance not be that it had not been observed and therefore the deployment was not authorized? Is that not the case? Or would that not be the case?
That would be the case.
That would be the case.
Yes, Commissioner.
So all the more reason for you to cancel, not so. Instead of saying, by the way, you did not observe the SOP and therefore because you did not observe it, I'm not going to cancel. It's all the more reason that you should cancel. If you say it was not observed and therefore the deployment was improper, all the more reason that you should cancel. So I still do not understand your reasoning.
Yeah, there is nothing wrong with the Commissioner not understanding my reasoning, but from where
Make me understand. Make me understand.
From where I am sitting, Commissioner, right, with my administrative experience,
which I don't, which I don't have.
Okay, Commissioner, from where I'm sitting, I expected my superior, right, upon realizing that there are these irregular deployments, right?
Irregular under the SOP.
Exactly.
Failure to follow some or all of the SOP steps.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I would have expected of him to say, city manager, here is a department which chose to do things out of the normal way as per this. But instead, right, my superior instruct me to cancel. Fine.
You are again conflating grounds now. You are again conflating grounds. You are talking about why you, Inspector Malatji, did not cancel. You have accepted just now, a couple of questions back, you have accepted that failure to follow the SOP steps would have been sufficient ground to cancel. You have accepted that. And I then said, so all the more reason that you should have cancelled. Whether it should have been taken to someone else and so on, that's a totally different basis for you not cancelling. And that is not what I'm addressing. I'm addressing the A ground that you yourself have given, 8.3, as a ground for not cancelling, for Director Malatji not cancelling. Not about this, or rather a need for this to have been taken to someone else. I'm talking about a ground that you have given for not cancelling, or for Director Malatji not to cancel. So what I'm saying is, would it be logical for you to say I did not cancel because the SOP was not followed, rather than saying because the SOP was not followed, indeed I ought to have cancelled, or that was reason enough for cancelling, instead of giving it as a reason for refusing to cancel? That's what I have difficulty with. Do you understand me now?
Commissioner, I understand you, but I'm also having a difficulty with the commissioner, singling out one reason.
No, you have itemized them as separate grounds. You did it. Of course, I understand that in the end you may look at these cumulatively, but looking at this as a ground on its own, I'm saying it is simply not a ground at all. Because even if you look at them cumulatively, this one should not come into the equation at all, because it does not make sense. You may have your other reasons. Maybe this should have been taken to A, B, C, D instead of me. That's something else altogether. But to have this as a ground or a basis for not cancelling, it does not make sense. Because not following the SOP steps should actually have been a reason to cancel. So you should not have included this at all. Do you get me?
I get the commissioner, and
Yes.
I get the commissioner. I
Yes.
understand the commissioner's reasoning, right? I mean, I understand
Yes.
the reasons given to me by the commissioner that I should not have included this one, right?
Yes.
And
So let's please forget about it, Director. I thank you very much. That's all I wanted. Thank you.
Can I just add to this conversation that the other reason you give is that the instruction was not directed to the initiator
yes,
of the ad hoc services, and this is Water and Sanitation Department. That's who you're referring to.
correct.
But you made the appointment. Your department made that appointment. We know specifically Klapperkop and Brickfield you did, and then we know that the balance of them, you had given Piri instruction to run with this, and you earlier accepted that it was an instruction to execute the request. So you did the appointments. You are the right person to terminate, because Water and Sanitation didn't make the appointments. They were made by you.
We're talking in respect of Klapperkop and
the ones that Piri issues letters. The
the
list,
addition-
remember they gave him a list, and then he
Yes.
issued letters, deployment letters. So it's your people
yes.
that have done the appointments. So it's your people that would terminate.
No, yes, with regard to the Klapperkop one and the ones in respect of which GL account numbers were provided, it's me who issued the instruction, and then
And the others, it's Piri who issued instruction saying he acts on your instruction. So it's your people, it's APSS that gave Goobies the instruction to proceed with the service. That's surely you accept that's a fact. That's how it happened. We have deployment letters from Mr. Piri. Is he not in your department?
he is.
Yes. So your department issued deployment letters
Yes,
through Piri and through you in that email of the 7th, right? Where you say they're starting to work on the 7th. So you are the right people to terminate because you're the people that appointed. So reason 8.2 doesn't hold either as a ground for refusing to terminate. It can't hold. You're appointed.
you know, with regard to the club, you know, my email is very specific. it is very specific to say Klapperkop, this. In respect of that, yes, it's us who could have terminated the.
And the same with the balance that Piri issued deployment letters. Gubis relied, remember, you know the story. After they received the termination letter, they they responded to Deputy Commissioner Spies and said, but we have letters of appointment. So it's that simple. Your department made the appointments because the authority to appoint lies with you. It's not the client that makes the appointment. Can we agree that?
I agree with the Commissioner in respect of the Klapperkop ones.
The Piri ones, did the Water and Sanitation make those appointments?
From where I'm sitting, right, Water and Sanitation made those appointments because
So the deployment letter is not the appointing authority that gives them the go-ahead to work. Are you saying that's not the case?
In respect of the additional ones?
Yes, the one that were issued by Piri. Did they not give them authority to go ahead and deploy?
They might have interpreted it as an authority to.
When you made the decision not to follow his instruction, that in fact there was an instruction from the Chief of Police that these services must stop because there were money issues, there were budget issues, there were requests to ask for more money. You're aware that Deputy Commissioner Dlamini had suggested or requested Commissioner Spies to ask for more money to fund this deficit. Did you ever become aware of that?
I do not remember, but
Did you become aware that the instruction came from the Chief of Police that we must stop these ad hoc services and we are not going to ask for more money?
after the communication,
Yeah, you became aware of it after.
I've given you enough time and I did not want to interrupt you.
but Commissioner, you are interrupting
no,
me.
because what you are doing now is you are saying you are being victimized by other people.
Exactly.
And I'm not victimizing you, I'm asking you questions. So your issues with them, you can deal with them separately. When you are answering my questions, I want you to account only for your conduct. That's why when I was referring you to this document, I wanted you to account only for your conduct, not to tell me about how your colleagues are treating you. So looking at this, let's assume for a moment that they are equally guilty. They are equally to blame. They could have done something. Let's assume that for a moment, and for purposes of our discussion, let's accept that that is so. Now, account for your conduct without blaming other people.
Commissioner, thanks very much. I am not reluctant or afraid to account for my conduct, but I think it would be fair and it would be just for this commission to know that, among other reasons, I might have done things wrong. I'm forced to talk about it, right? My colleagues wanted to take advantage of this commission to get rid of Director Malatji. That is why you go to my hearing, it's speech. You come here, it's speech, right? That in itself, to me, is an indication.
Director Malatji, I'm going to leave it there because it seems to me you don't want to account for your conduct. You want to tell me about the vendetta that your colleagues have against you. So if that's what you want to do and you're not prepared to answer my question, I'm going to leave it there.
No, I'm prepared to answer your question.
No, then account for your conduct. Don't tell me about the vendetta against you and the fact that they want to get rid of you. Because at the commission here, nobody gets rid of another person. Here you come to answer questions because we are a fact-finding commission. You assist us with facts and facts only. And what is in front of me is the fact that since the day you were instructed to terminate these ad hoc services. They continued until June, and the cost to the city was more than 50 million rands.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Commissioner, I agree with you. The cost is sitting at that, but I'm saying I might have not done, right? I might have not cancelled this, but that does not necessarily mean, right? They were supposed to sit back, get this, what you call ballooning and ballooning, you see? So I'm saying to the Commission, I accept what might be wrong in terms of my conduct, but I'm pleading with the Commission, right, to seriously take note of the fact that they also had a role to play. If I give...
And Director Malatji, when Mr. Bolhayes was here, if you listen to his evidence, you would have heard me say to him, why is it that only Piri is being blamed for this? Because more people than Piri were responsible for this, including those who authorized the payment. So as far as I'm concerned, it's not just you, but because you are here today, you can only answer for your conduct. So Mr. Skakani, I will leave it there and then...
Thank you.
So here's the situation. The Commission is investigating irregular deployments, basically, decisions that led to city money being spent in ways that don't follow proper procedures. We're talking tens of millions of rands, not small change, real money, taxpayer money. Now, Director Malatji is being questioned about why he didn't cancel certain deployments, even after it became clear that proper procedures, what they call SOPs, standard operating procedures, were not followed. And this is where things start getting messy. The Commissioner asks a very simple question. If the SOP wasn't followed, why didn't you cancel? Sounds straightforward, right? But instead of a clear answer, what follows is a back and forth that feels like watching someone try to explain why they didn't fix a leaking pipe by talking about the instruction manual instead of the water flooding the house. Malatji says the SOP is an instruction. The Commissioner immediately jumps in. Instruction to do what? That's when you realize, this isn't just about rules. This is about understanding the purpose of those rules. Because here's the thing. SOPs exist so that decisions are made properly. So if those procedures are ignored, the logical outcome should be to stop, correct, or cancel what was done incorrectly. But instead, Malatji is arguing that the SOP somehow becomes relevant after the fact, as a reason not to cancel. And the Commissioner is basically like, wait, what? He breaks it down step by step. If you're saying the SOP wasn't followed, then that actually strengthens the case for canceling. Not the opposite. It's like saying, I didn't follow the rules, therefore I should continue as if everything is fine. And that's where the frustration kicks in. You can hear it in the Commissioner's tone. He's not attacking, he's trying to understand. He even says, make me understand. That line right there, that's powerful, because it shows the core of what this hearing is about. Not drama, not politics, just basic accountability. Explain your decision. But instead of tightening the explanation, Malatji starts shifting into something else, talking about expectations, superiors, and what he thought should have happened. And the Commissioner immediately shuts that down. He points out something critical. You're mixing up different reasons. You're conflating grounds. In simple terms, you're combining unrelated excuses to avoid answering the actual question. And that's when things really sharpen. The Commissioner says, look, you already admitted that failing to follow SOP would be enough reason to cancel. You said that yourself. So why are you now using that same failure as a reason not to cancel? That's not just inconsistent, that's illogical. And there's no easy way out of that. At this point, Malatji acknowledges the Commissioner's reasoning. He literally says, let's forget about it. Which is not something you hear often in a formal inquiry. But the Commissioners aren't done, because now they move to another justification Malatji gave. This idea that the instruction to cancel wasn't directed to the right department. And again, the Commissioners dismantle it piece by piece. They point out that it was Malatji's department that made the appointments in the first place. They issued the deployment letters. They gave people authority to start working. So logically, if you have the power to appoint, you also have the power to terminate. You can't say it's not my job to cancel when you were the one who started the process. That's like hiring someone, then saying you're not responsible for firing them because someone else asked for the work to be done. It doesn't hold. And the commissioners make that crystal clear. They even bring up specific individuals, like Piri, who issued deployment letters under Malatji's authority. So again, it circles back to the same point. Responsibility, ownership, accountability. And just when you think it couldn't get more intense, the discussion shifts to money. Because while all this back and forth is happening, the deployments continued for months. And the cost? Over 50 million rand. Now suddenly, this isn't just a technical argument about procedures. This is about real financial consequences. Public funds being used while decisions were being questioned. And the commissioner doesn't let that slide. He points out that from the moment Malatji was instructed to terminate these services, they continued anyway. So the question becomes even heavier. Why? At this point, Malatji starts to open up a bit more. He admits that he might not have done right. That's a significant moment. But then he adds something else. He says others were also involved. Others could have acted. Others share responsibility. And while that might be true, the commissioner immediately redirects him. Because this is key. This hearing is not about everyone else. It's about you, your decisions, your actions. He even says it clearly. Even if others are equally guilty, right now, you must account for your own conduct. And this is where the tension peaks. Malatji starts talking about being victimized, about colleagues trying to get rid of him, about internal dynamics, and the commissioner stops him again. He says, that's not what we're doing here. This is not about vendettas. This is a fact-finding commission. We deal with facts, not office politics, not personal grievances. Facts. And honestly, that moment right there sums up the entire exchange, because it shows the difference between explaining and deflecting. Explaining is answering the question directly. Deflecting is bringing in everything else except the question. And the commissioner wasn't having it. He makes it clear. If you want to speak here, you answer for your conduct, nothing else. And to Malatji's credit, he eventually agrees. He says he's not afraid to account. But by then, the core issue is already laid bare. The reasoning didn't hold, the justification didn't make sense, and the consequences were massive. So what can we take from all of this? First, procedures matter. Not because they're written in a document, but because they guide decisions, especially when money and public trust are involved. Second, logic matters. You can't use the same fact as both a reason to act and a reason not to act. That contradiction will catch up with you. And third, accountability is personal. Even in a system where many people are involved, you are still responsible for your own decisions. And maybe the most important lesson of all, when someone says, make me understand, that's your moment. Your moment to be clear, direct, and honest. Because if you can't explain your reasoning in a way that makes sense, chances are it doesn't make sense at all. And that's exactly what played out here. A real-time reminder that in positions of responsibility, decisions don't just need to be made. They need to be justified. Clearly, logically, and without hiding behind confusion. Because in the end, the facts always speak louder than the explanation.